Dr. Suzette Husbands, visionary and founder of Suitable Helps, and I'm here to welcome you to part 5 of our 6-part series entitled Everyday Abigails. In this series, we have been talking to and highlighting some suitable helps, some just right women, but not from the Bible, from right here in Barbados. Women who have exhibited the key qualities that Abigail has shown as we have discussed her over the last 6 months. Today, we're going to hear from Sherrie Barrow as she shares her experience and her expertise with Dr. Gloria Hinds. And they're going to be talking about servanthood as it relates not only to Abigail, but to her life. I'm sure you are going to be blessed by this interview. So I want you to sit back. I want you to relax. I want you to call a girlfriend, get a watch party together, and enjoy as we unveil an everyday Abigail.
Sherrie M. Barrow is a 43-year-old wife, educator, and proud mother of many. She loves the Lord, people, and life. Her profound love for people and the desire to help others were the driving force behind her decision to complete a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in counseling psychology. She firmly believes that her job as an educator is the greatest on earth. As an educator, she is extremely passionate about teaching, shaping, and molding young minds. She feels compelled to empower her students and parents to be the best version of themselves by maximizing their fullest potential. In this process, her knowledge of God and her purpose in His kingdom have been the driving force behind her enthusiasm and her ability to motivate whoever gives her the opportunity to bless them. She is a member of CEF Lodge Hill, and she heads the Hospitality and Ushers Ministry. It is a duty which she takes pride in because it is done as unto the Lord. Sherrie says she's not perfect, but God has her in training while others are praying for her along life's journey. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest, Sherrie Barrow. The Bible has a great deal to say about servanthood because the central theme of the Bible is the servant of all, Jesus Christ. Mark 10:45 says, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." When we give Jesus Christ his rightful place as Lord of our lives, his lordship will be expressed in the way we serve others. One quality that we see demonstrated by Abigail is servanthood. Abigail was first and foremost a servant of the Lord, and not only Abigail, but my guest, Sherrie Barrow. So Sherrie, we're talking about servanthood. And my first question to you today is, when have you had the natural desire to want to serve first, rather than being served in a situation?
I grew up in a household with a mother and a sister, and all I knew was my mother constantly doing for others, serving others, cooking for people, offering them whatever she had. So it became natural for my sister and myself to do the same.
So doing the same, then that tells me why you are passionate about being an educator, having those young children. What age children do you teach?
The students in my care are class 3 and class 4. That's between 9 and age 11.
So how does this role of servanthood play out with these children on a daily basis?
Before being an educator, I just love children. I don't have any of my own. That's why I would say that I'm a mother of many. But there's something about a child that is unique, different. They are innocent. You can work with them. You can make them want to become better. They have so much potential. So when I see that, I am just spellbound, and I just want them to be the best version of themselves.
Lovely. So, how would you say that being a servant of Jesus Christ has become the core of who you, Sherrie, consider yourself to be?
Well, first, I'm a wife. I'm a mother of many. And I can say that being an educator, all three of these aspects just are held together by one thing, and that's God being the center of my life. And when you speak about the core, I am thinking about Him just being at my center. So I don't want persons to go away thinking that I am perfect. I am not perfect. But I have the opportunity to come back to the center, draw from the center, be energized by the center, be motivated by the center, be empowered by the center, then to go out and be a better wife, a better educator, a better friend. So I really see Jesus being at the core, being very fundamental in who I am.
Okay, so Jesus at the center of it all. So, talk about Jesus being at the center of it all then. What are three qualities that are characteristic of a person with a servant's heart?
First, I want to say they have to be respectful. Respect is due to everyone, no matter who comes before you. I'm not interested in color, class, creed. I just see that God has asked me to serve this person. So that's respect. Then there's love. You have to love what you are doing. And because it is so natural to me, I didn't even recognize it was serving. So I'm just happy to do what I have to do for others. And then there is being ready. You always have to be ready. You don't know when God is going to call you and ask you to do something for someone. You don't know when someone is going to come and, ask you just to be there for them, whether it's listening, whether it's actually serving them something, whether it is just being an ear for them. So you always have to be ready.
Okay, and of those three qualities, I want you to say to one of our listening Abigails today, what would be the one that you would say was easiest for you to develop?
Love. Just loving what I do. As I said, I don't see it as serving. I see it as making persons happy, bringing some hope to someone, empowering someone, just being there for someone. And because I don't see it as serving, I just love what I do. I love to see the smiles on faces. I love to see the tears of joy. I love to see the changes that happen through God sending me somewhere or God allowing me to speak to someone. I am just happy to see the positive changes that come about.
Okay, so you've spoken about the positive things that come about and how easy it has been for you because you saw it in your home growing up and it's a natural desire. However, what motivates you, especially in the difficult times, to continue to have a servant's heart?
My love for God, my profound love for God, and the respect that I have for Him. I am in this season of my life because I've grown a whole lot. I am not focusing on the situation, not focusing on the person, not focusing on the task. I am just focusing on God. My relationship with God allows me to just do what He wants me to do, not look at how difficult the situation is, how difficult the task is, just zero in on Him and do it as I am doing it unto Him. So that makes it, that changes my whole perspective, my whole interaction, everything about me changes when I just zoom in on God. I'm doing it as unto God and not as unto man.
Right. So then, because you're a person that is always serving, how do you replenish? How do you fill your cup so that you can serve?
Well, I am surrounded by, God has placed so many persons around me who I can draw from. And when I think about drawing, I think about the electric cars. You know, they have to be plugged in.
Certainly.
So I am plugged in to various persons who are always there to encourage, and not just encourage, but to encourage me and remind me of what God says. That is very important. And yes, there are many times where you will feel a bit discouraged, a bit down, but then when they speak, or when you remember what God has promised you, you just let go and let God.
Okay. So earlier you spoke about growing. What area would you say that you've grown most as a servant?
My growing in terms of my relationship with God, I am growing in terms of being obedient. Obedient.
Obedient. Tell us a little bit more about that. Where were you in a situation where it was difficult to be obedient?
In this season of my life, I am finding that God is just testing me. And as I said, once you know that God has your back, it changes the perspective in terms of the difficulties that you would encounter. And I am somewhat, I don't want to say that I'm enjoying anything because I do have down days, but just knowing that God is there, just knowing that He is surely going to bring me out, that His word says that He would be my help, I am a bit more settled and I am obedient to Him and whatever He tells me now to do.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, having a firm foundation, having a deep and meaningful relationship with God is really important.
Indeed, it is. As you said before, Jesus being the center, and I never looked at it that way, Jesus being the center of my life. You asked the question, what is at the core? Him being at the core allows me to be grounded, rooted. And as I said before, there's nothing perfect about me and my life, but knowing that I can go back there, be re-energized, be forgiven, being told that I can get up and go again, that's what keeps me going.
And I think that as our viewers are viewing this, this is great encouragement for them to realize that they can be an everyday Abigail, but it requires building a relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. You spoke earlier about being a wife. Let's hear about servanthood as a wife.
Well, as you said, I'm an everyday Abigail. So, like anyone else or anyone who knows me, I love to laugh, I love to have fun. And you all know that I am, as I would say, imperfect without God. Being a wife is one of the things that I hold most dear. It's a very important role because I went before God and I made a commitment to my husband. And I want to say that just being there, just being with him, just being in his company, just doing for him is one of the things that I treasure, that I find very, very important. However, the word says that God comes first, and after God, then I don't have any biological children, then comes my husband. So I want to focus on, I want everyone to understand, before my husband, there is a God. So I have to be obedient to God,
Certainly.
and then he directs me in how I should deal with every other area in my life. My husband, my job, my children, everything else, but God first.
Right, so if I'm hearing you correctly, servanthood speaks directly to order. If you're going to serve effectively, you have to have some type of order. God first, you've spoken about your husband, you've spoken about your children, and you've spoken about church. Tell us a little bit more about servanthood in church, especially being the head of an ushers and hospitality ministry.
Well, my church is a small church, so it becomes much easier with the interaction. As you would have mentioned prior, I am at CF Lodge Hill, and we have around 100 or so persons in our congregation. So serving them is easy. I know everyone's name, I know who everyone is, I can look and I can see if you're having a problem. It's so easy. However, like anything else, had my challenges as well. But I'll come right back and explain to you that with Jesus being the center that you can always go to, with building your relationship with him, causes you to not lose focus on the job. So when I go to church, I am going as unto God. When I serve at church, I'm doing it as unto God. When I greet you at the door, I'm doing it as unto God. When I see there's anything you need help with, I'm doing it as unto God. So it makes it so much easier when I see my task in God's house as doing it unto him.
Okay, so what I would like you to do for our viewers, I'm thinking of that everyday Abigail who is a steward, an usher. Say something to her today that would encourage her in her ministry.
Do it as unto God. Build your relationship with God. It is so very important. And then everything else will just flow.
In addition to that, let's speak to the educators who are everyday Abigails, especially in the current climate that we're living in. How would you encourage your fellow Abigail who is an educator today?
Now, this is an area that I'm so excited about. I just love school. I love my job. And I told you before, I think it's the greatest job on earth. All I want you to do as educators, focus on the children, not the situation, not the being at home and being online. Remember that we too were in a position of student and that we wanted our educators to take the best care to mentor us, to shape us, to mold us into being exactly who we wanted to be. So I would encourage everyone out there who is an educator to teach God's children as he would want you to instruct them.
You know, I'd like to acknowledge you for being such a well-rounded person. And what I've heard clearly coming out today is Jesus is definitely at the center. And I've heard you echo the sentiment of doing it as unto the Lord. I think that is a very timely reminder that whatever we do, whoever we are, whatever domain we serve in, we do it as unto the Lord.
Amen.
And as we do it unto the Lord, he fills us up. He encourages us. He encourages us to be like Abigail. And if there were a young lady listening today that needed to get some encouragement in her journey to become an everyday Abigail, what would you say to a very young person coming up?
I want you to, most importantly, seek and make sure that you build your relationship with God. I've been saying this all through the interview.
Certainly.
Your relationship with God is so essential in your walk. Just knowing who he is and who you are in his kingdom is extremely important. It makes life much easier for you. And don't think that you have time put down, that you can do other things and then come to God. Come to God right now. It is such a blessed experience, calming, peaceful, productive. I am sure that when you do it, you'll be able to say, I like being an everyday Abigail.
So, prior to this interview, reflecting on the life of Abigail, did you see yourself as an everyday Abigail?
No, I didn't.
So, you know, that just underscores the fact that you're doing it as unto the Lord, because you didn't even see yourself. But as we serve, and as you have served, God has chosen to see you as an example and to use you as an example of an everyday Abigail who can encourage others to show forth servanthood in every area of our lives, whether it's in our homes, our churches, or communities. We can be everyday Abigails.
Yes, it can be.
So, we have met an everyday Abigail, Sherrie Barrow, a lady who is a servant of the Lord. As a final reflection, 1 Samuel 25, verse 41 says, "She bowed down her face to the ground and said, 'Here is your maidservant, ready to serve,' and washed the feet of her master's servants." Abigail was a woman of tremendous qualities and abilities. Perhaps in studying her life and reflecting on what has been shared here by Sherrie, we too can reflect upon our own lives and see how we can be a little more like them, an everyday Abigail. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for watching, and remember, you too are an everyday Abigail.